Well, let me get this shilling out of the way. Please support the channel via channel memberships. Please like and subscribe if you can. And please give the other channel, Examining Kubrick, a chance. So let us get right into it. Nora, as usual, went on a little tirade. I was actually personally targeted, but I will not bring myself too much into this conversation. So her main subject was Stephanie, who is a big fan of Mike Rinder and has written a lot of blog posts critical of Aaron Smith Levin, Nora, and a lot of SPTV creators. I should make clear, I'm not the biggest fan of Stephanie. I don't like a lot of what she does. I think she's very misinformed, and she's not a very good critic. However, that's her as a critic. But she does try to stick to the facts in a few cases. So, many problems. So I'd urge people to Google Jerry Armstrong and Stephanie because she was caught lying about Jerry. So I don't trust her that much. However, you can disagree with someone, even really disagree with someone, and try to be a decent person, which Nora, of course, fails to do. But this is not a Nora hate video. So if you're just tuning in for me to bash her, that's not the point of this video. I am going to do some devil's advocate, but it's pretty bad. Now, to be fair to Nora, this was a long video, and this very specific part, which upset Stephanie, was a small section. It's awful. I think it's horrendous, but we will work through the pro and con of the case.
The views are my own. Here's Stephanie again, and here's her husband. Now, guys, this is a picture she put of her husband on the internet, who's in a wheelchair with a cast on each leg. The only thing that comes to mind when I look at this photo that she has posted in a public space is the film Misery, where the woman, played by Kathy Bates, literally takes a sledgehammer to her, captors, to the person she's holding captives, ankles.
As usual, you might ask, is this just a very small internet, meaningless beef nonsense? No, there's something very alarming and substantive at play. So what happened? Well, Nora, being Nora, was attempting, again, we don't know this, but attempting to mock Stephanie's husband. Now, here's the problem. That wasn't Stephanie's husband. That was her child. And Stephanie gave a lot more details about her situation, but basically, her child was suffering very, very badly. That's why he's in the cast. And Nora, trying to be clever, made a joke about Misery, the Stephen King film. Apparently she hasn't read the novel. She doesn't really understand the context there either, but whatever, she's a bit of an illiterate moron, which is just what Nora is. So in any case, Stephanie blew the whistle and alerted people that Nora had targeted her son. Now, to give Nora a lot of points, she did apologize, although the apology was kind of pathetic. So the defense is that Nora made an honest mistake. In any case, her criticisms of Stephanie were good. No, her criticisms of Stephanie and many other people, including myself, are garbage. They're really bad. But we will outline and detail them at another time. Also, she's been caught red-handed trying to censor people. So she's had this jihad against SPTV Foundation for daring to expose her lying and the lying of Aaron Smith Levin and other people. So this is becoming a rare repetitive cycle where Nora gets exposed. She does one of these videos, quote, trying to shame or attack the critic, and then gets a lot of facts wrong. So even if you believe her honest mistake defense, so basically her problem was she targeted the wrong person. If she was actually mocking Stephanie's husband, that would have been a good thing. No, it would not be a good thing. Why would you be mocking Stephanie's husband? Now, let's be clear here. This is not Marilyn Honig. Now, Marilyn Honig's husband has been helping her out in her toxic warfare. So if we're mocking him, that's correct. He's on camera helping her toxic enterprise. That's a different story. For all we know, Stephanie's husband doesn't care about this, has no opinion, doesn't know. We don't know the situation. So attacking a family member is not advisable. That said, can you talk about families? Sure. Right. Nothing is technically off limits in principle if you believe in free speech, which I do, but you have to exercise some judgment. So let me be very quick. I'm not going to do a whole detailed breakdown, But let's take Aaron. Can I talk about Heather, who was Aaron's wife, given his sex scandals and money scandals, etc., etc.? Well, yes and no. Now, there is some evidence that Heather may have helped cover up the crimes of Danny Masterson. It's controversial. We don't exactly know what happened. So, can I speak about Heather and Aaron legitimately? Sure. I mean, the Danny Masterson case is a serious case. And if Heather tried to cover up his crimes, that's pretty bad. So, at this point, we really don't know. But yes, we can legitimately talk about a spouse or even a child within a certain range, right? And Aaron has literally put his kid on camera. So he's put himself in a tricky situation. That said, you want to exercise judgment. So if I want to talk about Heather, yeah, I could do that within a range. But is it good to mock her? Let's say she is guilty. She did cover up the crime. So she's actually worthy of mockery. I would still be careful in doing that. So even if she were guilty of covering up this crime, which is terrible, I don't know if I should mock her. The main object should be Aaron, who has been doing a lot of harm to the anti-Scientology movement. However, that's Aaron, and Heather's Heather. Now, if Heather is guilty, she'll have to answer for that. But I still don't think it makes much sense to mock someone's spouse and or their children. Now let me try to justify what Nora did, because I am trying to work in Hollywood. I'm trying to do some comedy work as well. So I do consider myself a comedian, and although I don't want to say it, I guess I would have to say Nora is legitimately a comedian. Not a good comedian, but she is trying to do comedy. So, as a comedian, how do we resolve this problem? Well, there are many kinds of comedy. And over the years, many comedians have come under attack. Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Kevin Hart. You go through the list. They say something controversial, or one of their old routines gets misquoted or clipped unfairly, and they, quote, have to answer questions. I even saw literally a comedy special where Joe Rogan went through this. So this has become very normal now to target comedians. And I think for the most part, it's not a good idea. So I do think comedians are in a special class. So the section was small. The joke was stupid. But again, do I think honestly Nora was trying to destroy Stephanie and her family? No. But was she being a bully? Yes. Was she being a toxic grifter? Yes. Should that be permitted on YouTube? That's actually a very fine line. I think in this case, no. You can do mocking, you can do entertainment, you can even do opinions. So I think comedians do have a lot of leeway. However, if you're doing something and the mocking is exploitive, no, that does violate YouTube policies. So Stephanie is in her rights to challenge Nora, even take down the channel, and frankly, have a lawsuit. However, two things can be true. So even if you're for robust free speech, which I am, there are going to be special cases where censorship is justified. This is not even one of them. If Nora gets kicked off of YouTube for being a toxic grifter and a bully, free speech is not harmed. However, a principle is harmed. I think overall we should have more information. One of the reasons that anti-Scientology is suffering is information is just being too much controlled by certain gatekeepers, and that's harming the movement as a whole. And Aaron is one of these gatekeepers, Nora is one of these gatekeepers, and they're not going to give up their privileges. So we're kind of stuck. There's not many options here. If we don't deplatform them, they're going to continue to spew propaganda and mislead people. But if we do shut them down on YouTube, they can say, oh, you're just trying to censor the critics. You're helping David Miscavige. You're helping Tom Cruise. You're helping the cult. Well, no, you're helping the cult by putting out really harmful propaganda to victimize people who are asking legitimate questions. There's nothing wrong with asking, where is the money going with SPTV Foundation? There's nothing wrong asking Aaron how much he knew about Danny Masterson. Did his wife know about his crimes? There's nothing illegitimate there, right? We're asking legitimate questions about the crimes of the cult. Sometimes Aaron will call out the crimes of the cult, but many times he will not. He will deliberately suppress information because it doesn't make him look good. We've already had this with Louis Repetto, and we're doing it again with Nora. Now, I don't know if Nora told Aaron what she was going to do, but given their closeness, maybe they did discuss it. Did Aaron approve of what she was up to? Is Aaron aware that Nora attacked a child for money? She's not a documentarian, right? She's not an altruist. She's doing this for money and attention. So, yes, she did apologize, but the apology was kind of weak. And she had another video taken down, and I will be critical of both sides. I don't think that's a good idea to take down the videos. However, it does seem again she violated the policies. So I'm on the side of SPTV Foundation, the YouTube channel, to be able to do the content they want to do. However, I think it would have been better to leave the live because it's information and we want to not disturb the archive. On the other hand, if in these videos Nora is violating people's rights, that's also a problem. So I don't see any good solution. So I'm not going to cry if her YouTube channel goes away. I'm not going to cry if her whole YouTube career goes up in flames. However, we are violating a principle and we should be aware of that. Now, Nora herself doesn't seem to care about free speech. I know that. But the principle is worth defending, even if the person who is invoking free speech cynically, like Nora, doesn't even believe in it. But free speech is worth fighting for. But there are limits. We have to be careful what those limits are, but they do exist. So, as a rule, I just don't discuss the children of these people. I don't think that's necessary, but we're getting into dangerous territory because listen, Serge does. Serge has on his spouse, Michael, on air, defends him, talks about him, yada, yada. So, they are toxic grifters together. Just because they're married doesn't make them immune from criticism. Now, how much Heather knows really about Aaron's scandals, was she complicit in a lot of these frauds? We don't know. So in her case, it's a question mark. I want to be careful. But again, being, quote, a child or a husband or a brother or a cousin does not make you immune from criticism. We just have to be careful how we aim the criticism. So again, a child can be criticized. They're not off limits, but you have to try to show good judgment. And Nora just does not. She refuses to show good judgment, so she's being called out. So two things can be true. Comedians should be given a lot of latitude, but comedians also need to exercise some good judgment. And Nora just refuses to, because I don't think she's a decent human being. But that is my humble opinion.